Dear friends, it's such an honor for me, our team, and the whole pan-Ukraine community to receive this award here in South Africa in the presence of so many bright leaders from all over the world devoted to the values of freedom and democracy. I know that there is a lot of pain, suffering, and war around the world, and I know that many of you came from the countries where the war is going on. And I also came from Ukraine, where the war is going on now. I used to be a journalist, and since 2018 I have been leading PAN-Ukraine, as you know, Ukrainian media, cultural and human rights organization. We do a lot to preserve Ukrainian cultural life in times of war in Ukraine now. And I should say that as a cultural manager, I also continue organizing cultural festivals, cultural awards, but at the same time, I have to organize funerals of my colleagues and friends. The majority of PAN initiatives since 2022, when Russia started its full-scale war against Ukraine, have been related to the legacy of our colleagues and friends killed by Russia. This is the work of remembrance, pain, and big love. November is a crucial month for all Ukrainians. On November 18th, it was the 1000th day of the full-scale war Russia waged against Ukraine. And just yesterday, we had the 11th anniversary of the Revolution of Dignity, where we fought for our democratic future. Then Russia started its unprovoked and unjustified war against Ukraine. And it's very important for me today here to emphasize that Ukrainians have been resisting Russian aggression for more than 10 years already. November is also a crucial month for the whole pan-international family. Maybe you know that during past several weeks, to honor the International Day of the Imprisoned Writer, we've put empty chairs at all our events. You might know that empty chairs symbolize people who cannot be with us today, journalists, writers, and artists. I can represent my organization here today. I can't represent my country here in South Africa, but hundreds of my colleagues, Ukrainian journalists, artists, and writers, can't be with us today because they were killed, imprisoned, detained, or missed because Russia continues its genocidal war against Ukraine. I want to dedicate this award to all Ukrainian journalists, writers, and artists who are supposed to create a new Ukrainian culture, to improve new independent Ukrainian media, and to build democratic Ukraine. But they were taken by Russia, the country that has worked to erase Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian identity for centuries. Our organization and all our people continue our work in Ukraine despite all these circumstances around us, in memory of all our fallen colleagues and out of love for our land. I want you to know that all of us, all Ukrainians, are with you in your fight for democracy and freedom. And I'd like to ask you to stay in solidarity with Ukraine in our fight for justice and freedom for Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Dear colleagues and friends, I want to start with the words of gratitude to all of you who made this recognition possible. If you represent all the people of goodwill who support Ukrainian society in its struggle for freedom and dignity. Today, over 1,000 days into Russia's full-scale invasion and nearly 4,000 days of resisting its aggression in Donetsk, Luhansk, and Crimea, we remain strong because ordinary people could do extraordinary things when united. On February 24, 2022, I remember I woke up early in the morning to a call from my colleague. She said, "Ola, are you awake?" They started. The Russians have invaded. I hang up, look out of the window, and said to myself, this must be a day I've been preparing for the whole my life, and I have to do my part. That actually was the day when we made it, when the world's largest group of the human rights defenders, the Ukrainian armed forces, stood up for democratic values and resisted. Over 1 million of men and women of all professions, journalists, marketers, IT specialists, teachers, writers, drivers, doctors, builders, they stood up and resisted. The words freedom and peace hold different meanings to those who sacrificed for them and to those who inherited them. This helps explain the gaps in historical memory to all who urge Ukrainians for peace at any cost. The common truth is that peace is the only possible thing as a triumph over evil, not a series of compromise with it. Otherwise, we would not live in peace, but we would rest in it. We accept this tribute on behalf of the Ukrainian civil society, those who defend rights, those who volunteer, those who fight, and those who we have lost. Your solidarity reminds to us that we are not alone. Together we will prove that democracy and dignity are worth every effort. Thank you.
Dear friends, thank you very much for this esteemed recognition of the strengths of Ukrainian civil society. Those of us standing at this stage represent just a tiny fragment of an immense network of caring and responsible people who are the very foundation of Ukrainian resilience. We come from different parts of Ukraine. I am personally from eastern Ukraine, a place where, on the occupied territories, Russians strip away all freedom and the basic right to be ourselves. But we resist and we will prevail. Our motivation outweighs our exhaustion. For us, this fight is about the very existence of our people and the right to choose our future. Ukrainians want to live in the world where freedom and dignity are not privileges, but the part of every person's life. For those of you who live in a war, you know how awful it is to wake up in the middle of the night because of sirens and explosions, to see your hometown schools and hospitals destroyed, and friends and family members who were killed just because they are Ukrainians and they want freedom. But we still find the internal strength to start again and again, each morning, to do our work, to care one for another, and to invent solutions, to think about future. Let me share a small story. This July, Russians hit the largest children's hospital in Kiev with a missile. I went there not only as a reporter, as a journalist, but also as a human being, to help, alongside with hundreds of Ukrainians Hundreds of people clear the rubbles, bring food, water, tools to help, to assist rescuers and to support those who are affected. And I could feel this tangible sense in the air, feeling not of a fear, but the sense of unity, of togetherness. And where everyone contributes their own drop of efforts in the ocean of common cause. For us, this is not local war. We fight against the aggressor who seeks to rewrite the rules of the world, to destroy the order founded on respect for human rights, freedom, and sovereignty. This is a war that will define future not only Ukraine, but also the entire democratic world. This tribute is to the resilience and strength of Ukrainian society. Our resilience comes from hope, but not idle hope, just waiting for things to happen. No, hope is action. Hope makes us stand against aggressor and defend our values. It's about our people, but also about global humanity. It's about every human being on earth hoping for the better future. I would like to thank to everyone who understands this and stands with us as we stand with you. Ukraine and democracy will win.